My name is Joyce Vale, 36 years old. The steering wheel feels colder than the weather report promised, a crescent of frost against my palms, as our minivan noses through a lace of Wisconsin snow. Christmas lights ripple across the windshield like little confetti lies, bright and harmless from a distance, cutting as glass when you're close. Ethan reaches over, paramedic hands, steady by training, gentle by choice, and squeezes my fingers. "You okay?" he asks, voice pitched low, as if volume alone might summon a blizzard. "Fine," I lie, watching the wipers soldier back and forth, carving order where the sky insists on mess. We both know what waits at my parents' perfect colonial with its symmetrical wreaths and coordinated roofline. The house photographs well. It always has. In the back seat, Emma and Jake cradle our offerings, their peppermint brownies, wrapped in parchment and tied with candy cane ribbons, they twisted themselves, and a stack of hand-colored cards that say things money can't. Jake's sneaker taps the seat rhythmically. Emma traces a snowflake she drew yesterday, her brow folded with 9-year-old concentration. "Remember what we talked about?" I say, as we turn into the long driveway that looks like it was plucked from a catalog. "Christmas isn't about expensive gifts, it's about being together." Emma nods, wise beyond her years. "Presents, not presents," she recites, and the mantra warms the van's thin air more than the heater does. Carolyn opens the door before we knock. Of course she does. My mother is immaculate in a cream sweater and pearls, as if she woke up arranged. "There you are," she says, air kissing my cheek with the accuracy of a dancer hitting her mark. "Remember, we all agreed, no gifts this year." The breath I've been holding for 2 weeks releases so suddenly I feel a little lightheaded. "Right," I say, shoulders unspooling. "The kids made brownies and cards." Mom's eyes skim our package, a tourist beholding a quaint artifact, then flick to the foyer mirror. "How thoughtful. You can set them by the appetizers." Pine and cinnamon float from the immaculate rooms, a Norman Rockwell fragrance curated by a professional. From his study, my father emerges already mid-sentence, as if the story started without us. Rick gives Jake an absent pat on the head, hugs Emma with a notch more enthusiasm, then turns to me. "Joyce," he says, the smile not quite reaching his eyes. "The Johnsons next door just bought a boat, in December." He shakes his head, admiring the folly even as he envies it. I place the brownies beside crystal platters of catered hors d'oeuvres that smell like money wearing a fig leaf, and Emma arranges her cards at the entry table, each one a bright chirp of construction paper against the winter palette. "Can we play in the basement?" Jake whispers. "Indoor voices," I remind him, smoothing his hair. The next 20 minutes pass in what my family calls conversation, and I call choreography. Dad narrates his golf game hole by hole. Mom asks Ethan about career prospects, as if our lives are a quarterly projection. I explain the kids' school projects, hold their coats, count the cups of cider, count my breaths. I'm not thinking about presents. I refuse to. I cling to the shared rule like a rope across a river. No gifts this year, we all agreed. The front door bursts open without a knock. Winter sweeps in wearing Tessa's perfume. My younger sister strides in, cheeks pink from a climate-controlled car, a coat that costs more than our monthly mortgage thrown over one shoulder like a plot twist. Logan follows with arms straining under glossy shopping bags and square, heavy boxes wrapped to a professional sheen. Their teenage boys trail behind, faces lit an ethereal blue by identical screens. "We're here," Tessa announces, as if the play can finally begin. She tosses her coat. It lands like an exclamation point. Carolyn claps her hands, an actual clap, bright and delighted, and turns to the tree. "You've arrived. Let's open gifts." The words hit like a slap made of silk. I look at Ethan. His jaw tightens by a millimeter, which on him is a yell. Emma and Jake appear at the edge of the room, drawn by the rustle and gleam. Confusion crowds their faces as their cousins deposit an avalanche of presents beneath the tree that, until now, was encircled by nothing but ribbons and restraint, just as agreed. "I thought we agreed no gifts," I say to my mother, voice measured. Dad exhales dramatically, a theater sigh. "Don't start, Joyce. You always take things too seriously." Tessa adjusts her cashmere and shoots me a small smirk, reserved for people who follow rules when everyone else is improvising. "Relax," she says. "It's Christmas. We just did what we could." What we could, I think, looking at a gaming laptop box so new the manufacturer's seal reflects the lights. My father offhandedly mentions the price, $2,800, but worth every penny. The way people mention a beach they happen to buy. Wrapping paper becomes weather, tearing, drifting, blanketing the carpet with colored snow. Apple Watches, Disneyland tickets in an envelope, so thick it might stand on its own. The room fills with the sound of abundance performing happiness. Emma's fingers whiten around her card, the crinkle almost inaudible, and to me, deafening. Jake's small hand hunts mine in the crowd of elbows and exclamations, and when he finds it, his palm is damp, a tiny barometer registering pressure I've ignored for years. Memory steps up like an uninvited relative and starts talking. Age 14, giving up summer camp so Tessa could attend 2 cheer clinics back to back. "You're so practical, Joyce," Mom had said, as if practicality were an heirloom and love a coupon. 23, co-signing Tessa's first apartment. "You're so responsible," they'd said, while responsibility functioned like camouflage for favoritism. 28, a modest wedding because "your sister might get engaged soon. Don't overshadow her moment." The pattern is a music box I keep winding. I say this without bitterness, surprising even myself. I hear the box's song, finally, and it's off-key. Ethan moves beside me without words, a lighthouse you just know will be there when the fog thickens. On the coffee table, one of Emma's cards, a careful red heart, slides a little as someone's gift bag brushes past. I set it straight with 2 fingers. No one notices. Across the room, Logan raises his phone and the screen reflects in Dad's glasses as if illumination were a commodity for sale. "We just did what we could," Tessa says again, smiling bright for the invisible camera. "Don't be dramatic." In the world my parents curate, objections are the real offense. The wrong note is not the behavior, but the person who points out the key. I try not to look at my kids' faces and fail. Emma isn't crying. It's worse than that. She's dimming, the way bulbs do right before they go out. Jake leans into me like a sail gone slack. If I let this stand, this public recalibration where our values are small and their spending is grand, I will teach them a lesson I can't unteach. "Put on your coats," I say softly to my children. The room's chaos makes my calm feel louder. We're heading home. Mom blinks, genuinely startled, as if I've left the choreography. "But we haven't even had dessert," she says, bewildered that anyone would choose cakeless air over the slice she's planned. "You can enjoy our brownies," I answer, steady and unfamiliar to my own ears. I'm not pleading. I'm not packaging my needs like diplomacy. The taste in my mouth is not sweetness or anger. It's clarity, cold as creek water and twice as clean. In the doorway, snow feathers across the threshold. Ethan helps zip Jake's coat. Emma tucks her cards into the pocket of mine like little birds we're rescuing from a storm. Behind us, Tessa's laughter flares bright over the paper snow, and for the first time it sounds tinny, like a recording played on a machine that needs new belts. Dad says something about my overreaction, about tradition, about how you know your sister. The words wash over my back and die before they reach the door. We step into the night and the cold greets us honestly. In the car, silence shakes itself out like a blanket before anyone speaks. Snowflakes jitter in the headlights. Ethan pulls away from the perfect colonial. My breath fogs the glass, but inside my chest, something has stopped fogging for the first time in years. "Are we poor, Mom?" Jake asks from the back, the words feather light and heavy enough to tilt the earth. Ethan meets my eyes in the rear view. The understanding between us is a handrail in a stairwell that suddenly got better lit. "No," I say, reaching back to squeeze Jake's knee. "We just believe some things are worth more than stuff." We drive past a house the neighborhood hired to be beautiful and into the quiet where ordinary houses hold ordinary people doing their best. Emma presses her forehead to the window and breathes a small circle of visibility on the glass, then draws a star in it with her fingertip. On another night, I might cry. Tonight, I don't. Tonight feels like standing at the edge of a lake in January and deciding, after years of watching other people plunge and surface gasping, that I can break my own ice. Later, the house hushed and the kids asleep. Moonlight turning our bedroom ceiling into a pale quilt. I lie awake beside Ethan, and the quiet in me is not empty. It is clean. I slip from bed and let the floorboards speak softly under my feet, the way old friends do when they approve. In the kitchen, the electric kettle hums alive. Chamomile, the universal prescription Carolyn swears by, steeps in a mug I bought on sale. I think about boats and wreaths and the word agreed. I think about a little red heart on a card that I straightened with 2 fingers. I think about a child's face dimming and the steadying hand that stopped the cup before the spill. I think about the way Ethan looked at me in the car like I'd finally said a sentence we'd been drafting for years. The kettle clicks off. Steam uncurls into the room like a promise the air can keep. I open my laptop. The blue light is a winter lake. I don't feel afraid of cold anymore. I feel awake. The screen's glow paints my hands silver as I open the bank app. The cursor blinks, impatient, expectant. Rows of numbers fill the page, neat and damning. Insurance, utilities, phone bills, streaming services, each one with my name beside payer. Every temporary favor my parents ever promised to handle next month, still quietly draining our account years later. Property insurance for their colonial, $1,400, charged to me just for a couple of months. That couple of months has turned into 13. Mom's cell plan, $65 a month for 4 years. 4 years of her saying, "We'll switch it soon, honey." The cursor blinks again. My fingers hover over the keys like I'm preparing for surgery. I open a spreadsheet and type one word in bold across the top, reclaiming. Each entry becomes a confession I didn't make aloud. Netflix family, Amazon Prime, Verizon, Spotify, LA Fitness. Each account, shared, borrowed, quietly expanded. By the time I finish the first column, the total breaches $5,000 a year. $5,000 that could have paid for Emma's swimming lessons, the furnace repair we postponed, Ethan's certification program that could raise his salary 30%. What exactly am I buying with this money? The question hangs in the air, too sharp to ignore. Their convenience, I think. Their comfort. Their ability to pretend nothing costs them. The tea has gone cold when I start making the first cuts. Netflix, 3 clicks. Amazon, log out, remove household users. Verizon, slower. I pause, reread the "Are you sure?" prompt. Yes, I whisper. Spotify family. LA Fitness, gone. Each deletion leaves a faint thrill, a quiet unshackling. It's not revenge, it's math. A correction of errors, years in the making. By the time the clock reads 3, I've added a new column titled Reclaimed. The total glows, $612.71 per month. I stare at it the way you stare at a sunrise you didn't expect to see. The screen flickers as the refrigerator hums to life behind me. Somewhere in the house, a floorboard creaks. Ethan's silhouette fills the doorway, hair mussed from sleep, voice gravelly. "It's 5 in the morning," he says softly. "You okay?" I turn the screen toward him. "I think I will be." He crosses to the kettle, pours water into a mug, movements unhurried. Steam rises between us like a white flag. "I've wanted to suggest this for years," he admits, setting the tea beside me. "Why didn't you?" I ask. "Wasn't my battle to fight," he says. He studies the spreadsheet, eyes tracing the numbers. What made tonight different? The answer surfaces instantly. Emma's face at the party, her crinkled card, her dimming smile. When she thought her gift wasn't good enough, I whisper, that's when I knew I couldn't let them make our kids feel small again. Ethan's hand finds my shoulder. "There'll be fallout," he says gently. "Your mother doesn't handle change well." I know. I take a sip of tea, and for the first time, it tastes like freedom. "Let's get some sleep," I add, closing the laptop. "Tomorrow the storm will come, but for once, I won't be the one weathering it for everyone else." The next morning, the phone begins to vibrate before the sun fully rises. At first, a buzz every few minutes. Then constant, a hornet trapped under glass. By the time I pick it up, 47 missed calls blink across the screen. Carolyn, what have you done? Tessa, Mom's crying. Fix this now. Rick, you've overreacted. We can't reach our friends. This is unacceptable. The texts stack like an avalanche. I set the phone face down on the counter, pour coffee, and for the first time in years, actually taste it. Its warmth slides down, unhurried, unapologetic. That bad? Ethan asks, coming in behind me, still barefoot. That good, I correct him. The pounding on the front door makes both of us freeze. Outside, the snow is blinding, too bright for the hour. Through the window, I see my parents' familiar shapes. Carolyn's pearls flashing, Rick's posture stiff with accusation. Behind them, 2 uniformed officers shift awkwardly, their breath fogging in the cold. Ethan meets my eyes. Want me to? I've got it, I say. I open the door before they can knock again. This is my daughter, Carolyn announces to the officers, her tone brittle. She hacked our accounts and stole our services, Officer Murphy, his badge catches the morning light, clears his throat. Ma'am, can you explain what's going on? Of course, I say. Come in. The officers step inside, hesitant, polite. My parents hover at the threshold like they need an invitation to decency. Rick's voice is clipped. This isn't a social visit. I nod. Then let's not waste time. On the kitchen table waits the folder I printed at 4 a.m. Every statement, every receipt. These accounts, I say, spreading the pages, are all in my name. I've been paying for them for years. I simply decided to stop. Murphy scans the documents, his expression softening as comprehension replaces confusion. Looks like a civil family matter, he says finally. Not criminal. She's entitled to cancel what she pays for. Carolyn's jaw tightens. But she did it without warning. We were in the middle of our shows. Rick adds, I missed the golf tournament broadcast. The older officer sighs. Still a civil issue, sir. We recommend talking it out as a family. He nods at me, a quiet gesture of understanding, and they leave. The door closes behind them. Outside, the patrol car crunches down the icy street. Carolyn's voice rises, trembling with outrage. Family doesn't do this. I meet her gaze, calm. Exactly. Family doesn't take advantage and call it love. Rick points a finger, trembling with anger. After everything we've done for you, Dad, I interrupt, voice steady. I appreciate what you've done, but that doesn't mean I owe you forever. They leave in a flurry of slammed doors and tire spray, the sound cutting through the quiet like punctuation on a lifetime of manipulation. When I turn, Emma and Jake are standing halfway down the stairs, eyes wide. Why were the police here? Emma asks. Grandma and Grandpa were upset about something grown up, I say gently. The police just came to explain it's fine. Are we in trouble? Jake whispers. No, honey. Sometimes adults disagree, but we'll be okay. By afternoon, the group chat lights up like a Christmas tree set on fire. Carolyn. We're heartbroken. This is not how we raised her. Tessa. Can't believe my own sister ruined Christmas and left us without phones. Uncle George. What's going on with Joyce? I start to type a response, then stop when a new message appears from Aunt Joanne. Good for you, Joyce. I did the same thing with my son last year. Had to stop the financial bleeding. A thumbs up pops up from Cousin Sarah. Within the hour, both Carolyn and Tessa have left the chat. The house grows quiet again, real quiet, not the kind filled with tension, the kind that feels earned. Ethan sets a mug beside me. Fallout managed? For now, I say, glancing at the silent phone. He smiles faintly. You did it. No, I correct. We did. The mug's warmth seeps into my palms, and for the first time in a long time, I let it stay there, unshared, uncomplicated. Tomorrow will bring more calls, more guilt, maybe even tears. But tonight, the balance sheet is clean. And for the first time, so am I. By the next morning, the house feels different, lighter somehow, as if overnight The walls exhaled years of invisible pressure. Ethan's out early for his shift. The kids are still sleeping, and the only sound is the low, reassuring hum of the heater. I pour myself another cup of coffee and stare at the kitchen window, watching snowflakes melt as they hit the glass. It's peaceful, unnervingly so. The kind of calm that makes you suspicious something's coming. Something is. At 8:17 a.m., my phone vibrates again. One notification after another until the counter hits 99 plus. Mom's friends, my cousins, even the church group chat, all chiming in. Some messages are pity wrapped in politeness, others sharp enough to cut. We're praying for reconciliation. Your poor mother is beside herself. I can't believe you'd embarrass your family like this. The rumor mill runs on caffeine and righteousness. By noon, I'm the headline of a story I didn't write. Apparently, Ethan and I are having financial trouble, and he's controlling all my money. Someone claims I'm in therapy for anger issues. My mother, the original PR manager of our family image, has clearly gone public. Ethan's mother calls first. Her tone is cautious, but warm. We've been hearing some strange things, she says. I brace myself. Let me guess, that we're broke and I've lost my mind? A pause, then a gentle laugh. Something like that. But we don't believe it. Frankly, Joyce, we've worried for years about how much you've been carrying for them. Her words are a balm I didn't realize I needed. Thank you, I say softly. We're fine, really fine. Well, she replies, it's about time you put your own family first. That afternoon, while folding laundry, I think about what she said, about how long I've been everyone's safety net and how they mistook that for love. But the peace doesn't last. Emma bursts into the room after dinner, her face pale, lips trembling. Grandma said you're being selfish, she blurts. I stop folding the towel midair. When did she say that? At her house yesterday. She was on the phone with Aunt Tessa. She didn't know I could hear. The towel drops. I kneel so we're eye level. She said you're ungrateful and making everyone miserable. The sting hits harder than I expect. It's one thing to be slandered in group chats. It's another to have your child hear it. I take a deep breath, steadying my voice. Sweetheart, sometimes adults say things they shouldn't when they're upset. Emma frowns. Is it because of Christmas? Yes, I admit. But you know what? It's okay for adults to set boundaries, just like kids need rules at school. She tilts her head. What's a boundary? I smile, grateful for the question. Remember when Jason kept taking your art supplies without asking? She nods immediately. And Mrs. Miller told him to stop. That's a boundary, I explain. It's how we teach people what's fair. Her eyes widen. So Grandma took your things? Something in my chest twists. Something like that, I say gently. But we're figuring it out. Later that night, Ethan finds me at the kitchen table with my laptop open again. This time, not for numbers, but for clarity. I'm making a list, I say before he can ask. Of what? Things we're adding back. He smiles. Our no-guilt budget. Exactly. I type, Emma's swimming lessons, Jake's science camp, a weekend trip for us. It's strange how light this list feels compared to the old one. For every dollar we stopped bleeding, we're finally investing in joy. Days blur into weeks. The texts slow down, then stop. The silence feels like healing, until the school recital invitation goes out. I send Mom and Dad a message. Yes, the kids would love to see you there. Please come on time. No gifts, please. Her reply arrives seconds later, just a single period. No words, no emoji, just that dot, sitting there like a threat disguised as grammar. Ethan reads it over my shoulder. Symbolic, he mutters. Of what? That you're about to get tested again. He's right. The night of the recital, the first real snowfall of the season, coats the world in quiet white. Inside the elementary school, the auditorium buzzes with warmth and chatter, coats draped over seats, children fidgeting in paper costumes. Jake's a tree in his class play. Emma's playing Silent Night on her recorder, her first solo. We find our seats in the middle row, leaving 2 empty spots on the aisle. I save them out of hope, or habit, I can't tell which. At 6:55, there's no sign of my parents. At 7 sharp, the lights dim. Principal Warner tells his usual corny snow joke. The audience chuckles. The kindergartners start singing, adorable chaos in motion. I feel myself exhale. Maybe, just maybe, tonight will be normal. Then, 10 minutes in, a commotion ripples through the back of the room. The door bangs open. Carolyn's perfume precedes her, followed by Rick's booming apology to every row he squeezes past. She's wearing pearls, as always. He's carrying himself like someone used to being right. And Tessa, of course Tessa, is behind them, clutching 2 glossy gift bags. Of course. Jake spots them before I do. His eyes light up. Grandma came. I swallow the knot in my throat. Yes, sweetheart, she did. Emma's class is called next. She steps onto the stage, pale but determined. Our eyes meet, and I nod, smiling. The lights catch the silver of her recorder. She takes a breath, plays. Every note clear, steady, sure. When she finishes, the applause is soft but genuine. She looks right at me and beams. Pride blooms in my chest so fiercely I have to blink it back. After the final bow, families drift toward the cafeteria for cookies and punch. I'm helping Mrs. Peterson refill trays when I see Tessa heading toward Emma and Jake, bags in hand. We brought something special for our stars, she calls loudly, like a TV host. I step in front of her. Tessa, we said no gifts. She blinks innocently. They're just little tokens. Her voice rises enough for nearby parents to turn. Don't be so controlling, Joyce. I keep my tone calm. No means no. You can visit next weekend instead. Tessa's smile tightens, cracking at the edges. This is ridiculous, she hisses. You're punishing the children because you're angry at us. All conversation around us dies. Eyes shift toward us. The teacher, the parents, the other kids. I can feel my pulse in my throat, but I don't step back. The children, I say evenly, are doing just fine. They know they're loved without expensive gifts. Tessa stares at me for a beat, stunned by the refusal. Then she spins on her heel and storms out, Rick trailing behind, muttering under his breath. Carolyn hesitates. Her gaze falls on Emma, who's helping a smaller child reach the cookie tray. Jake is proudly showing off his paper tree costume to a friend. They worked so hard, she whispers finally, her voice smaller than I've ever heard it. Yes, I say quietly. They did, and that's enough. She doesn't answer, but when she leaves, she places a hand, brief, tentative, on my arm. It's not forgiveness, not yet. But it's the first time in years her touch doesn't feel like ownership. On the drive home, the kids chatter about the play. Snow drifts lazily outside the windows. Jake asks, "Why did Aunt Tessa leave so fast?" Ethan and I exchange a glance. She had somewhere to be, I say. Emma, wiser than her years, adds softly, "It's like you said, Mom. Boundaries. Aunt Tessa needs to learn them." Ethan chuckles, reaching for my hand. I squeeze back, eyes on the falling snow. The road ahead is quiet, clean, unmarked, the kind you have to make your own tracks on. The following morning arrives with that peculiar stillness that only comes after a storm, the kind that hums with aftermath. The children are upstairs, constructing a blanket fort from couch cushions, their laughter fluttering through the floorboards. Ethan sits at the kitchen table with the paper folded open, a calm sentinel with coffee in hand. The doorbell rings. Once, then again, harder. He lowers the paper, eyebrows raised. I don't need to look at the clock to know it's them. The knock pattern, the urgency, it's my mother's signature. I'll get it, I say. He nods, silently bracing. I open the door, and there they are. Carolyn's hair perfectly set, pearl earrings gleaming like punctuation marks on an accusation. Rick stands beside her, jaw tight, the faint red of anger coloring his neck. Neither waits for an invitation. We need to talk, he declares, stepping inside as if reclaiming territory. Mom follows, clutching her purse like armor. The air in the living room changes temperature when they enter. My pulse hammers, but my face stays still. Years of training in conflict avoidance, now repurposed as calm. This has gone on long enough, Dad starts, positioning himself in the center of the room. He gestures around, taking in the toys, the slight mess of lived-in comfort. Do you know how much we sacrifice for you? The vacations we never took? The loans we took out for your braces in college? Mom's voice wavers, her tears just shy of sincere. I worked 2 jobs when your father was laid off. We gave you everything, Joyce. I inhale slowly. Once, those words would have worked like magic, shrinking me into the child they remembered. But today, I don't shrink. And I've been paying that debt my entire adult life, I say quietly. Not just with money, but with guilt, with silence, with keeping peace that cost me my peace. Ethan appears in the doorway, mug still in hand, present steady behind me. He doesn't interrupt. He just stands there, silent reinforcement. I think, I continue, it's time we talk about what's actually been happening. I walk to the desk in the corner, retrieve the blue folder I prepared weeks ago, the one labeled documentation. I lay it flat on the coffee table and open it. Dad squints. What is this now? More dramatics? Facts, I answer. Just facts. Neat rows of numbers march across the first page. This, I say, sliding it toward him, is a record of every payment I've made for the family in the past 10 years. He opens his mouth, but I keep going. 14,380 in loans that were never repaid. 9,200 in shared phone and subscription services. 3,750 in emergencies that somehow became routine. Rick blinks. That can't be right. It's right, I say evenly. You can check the dates. The receipts are in order. Mom's hand trembles as she reaches for the folder, manicured fingers brushing the edge. You kept track of all this? Yes, I say, meeting her eyes. After years of pretending it didn't matter, I finally did. I flip to the next sheet, and this one shows the difference between what you and Tessa have given my kids versus what you've spent on hers over the last 5 Christmases. The total gap? Just under $8,000. The silence is sharp enough to cut glass. For the first time in my life, my father looks small. Not weak, not frail, but human, startled by a reflection he can't argue with. I didn't realize it was that much, he murmurs. It's not just about money, I say, though part of me wants to shout that it is. It's about patterns, about you giving her everything and expecting me to keep earning my place at this table. Ethan moves closer, his hand finding mine. I draw strength from the weight of it, the quiet certainty. Mom dabs her eyes with a tissue, careful not to smear her mascara. We didn't see it as taking advantage, she whispers. We just thought since you're so capable. Being capable doesn't mean I should carry everyone, I interrupt gently. It's not fair, to me, to Ethan, or to our children. The grandfather clock ticks behind us, steady and unbothered. Upstairs, Jake's laugh breaks through the ceiling, the sound of innocence unscarred by the weight below. I'm not here to fight, I continue. I just want to set boundaries, clear ones. Dad looks up. Boundaries? Yes. From now on, no financial expectations. Equal treatment between our families. Respect for our rules, including no gifts when we say so, and no more unannounced visits. I meet their eyes in turn. If those can't be respected, we'll need space. Rick opens his mouth, ready to argue, then closes it again. The old rhythm, me apologizing, him lecturing, doesn't play this time. He sinks into the couch, exhaling through his nose. We never meant to hurt you. I know, I say quietly, but intent doesn't erase impact. Mom stares down at this paperwork, her scarf twisting between her hands. We might have favored her without realizing. You did, I reply, but we can build something better if you want to try. For a long moment, no one speaks. The air feels different, less charged, more fragile. Finally, Dad sighs. So where does this leave us? That depends on you, I answer, closing the folder. I've drawn the line. Whether you step over it or respect it, that's your choice. Ethan squeezes my hand. I feel the steady rhythm of his pulse under my fingers, an anchor in the shifting sea. Mom rises first, smoothing her sweater. We should go, she says softly. Give everyone time to think. Dad follows, slower this time, age suddenly showing in the slope of his shoulders. At the door, Mom hesitates. We'll call next time. The word sounds strange in her mouth, new, like a foreign phrase she's trying out. Thank you, I say. That's all I ask. When the door closes behind them, the house exhales. Ethan pulls me into a hug, his chin resting on my hair. "You did it," he murmurs. "We did it," I correct, the truth fitting perfectly between us. Upstairs, the kids' laughter crescendos into a squeal, followed by a thud. Life, messy, ordinary, ours, resumes. For the first time, the sound doesn't irritate me. It feels like music. I pull back, smiling through tears I didn't realize I'd been holding. "For once," I whisper, "I think we're finally free." 6 months later, the world feels wider. Sunlight spills across our backyard like forgiveness, warm and golden, soaking into the soil where Emma and I kneel beside a row of tomato plants. Her small hands press the earth carefully around a seedling. "Gentle," I remind her. "The stems are fragile." She nods with exaggerated seriousness, a smear of dirt across her cheek. Jake runs laps around us, brandishing a garden hose like a sword. "Not near the plants," I call out. He giggles and veers away, spraying the air into a sparkling mist. Ethan leans against the porch railing, watching us with a tired but easy smile. The certification program he'd postponed for years is now halfway done. He's working longer hours, but for the first time it feels like forward motion, not survival. Inside the house, the hum of life feels softer these days. No late-night guilt calls, no surprise bank alerts. Our budget spreadsheet, once filled with red, now glows a steady green. We renamed it months ago, No Guilt Budget, a quiet revolution disguised as an Excel file. "Grandma called while you were at the store," Emma says, breaking my thoughts. I glance at her. "Oh?" "She asked if we want to go fishing with Grandpa this weekend. Just us, not Cousin Tyler." Her tone is cautious, as if testing the air for ghosts. I wipe my hands on my jeans. "Would you like that?" She nods. "He said he'll teach me how to bait my own hook." The corners of my mouth lift. That sounds like fun. Before I can say more, the doorbell rings. Right on time. I check my watch. It's exactly 3 p.m. Carolyn has never once been on time for anything in her life, until now. I open the door, and there she is, holding a small gift bag. Her cream sweater is familiar, not new. Her hair softer, less constructed. "I know we said no gifts," she begins, voice low, "but I found Emma's baby book in the attic. I thought you might want it back." A small silence stretches between us. Then I step aside. "Come in." The air between us doesn't hum with tension anymore. It feels tentative, but breathable. She looks around as if seeing our house for the first time. The pictures on the wall, the scuffed furniture, the smell of garlic and basil drifting from the kitchen. Normal, real. She sits at the table, folding her hands around the coffee mug I offer her. For a long while, we just sit. No small talk, no performance. Finally, she says, "Your father's been quieter lately." "That's new," I reply with a faint smile. She nods. "We've been thinking about how we treated you. I suppose it's easier to ignore the weight someone carries when you're standing on their shoulders." I exhale slowly. "Thank you for saying that." She looks down. "We're trying, Joyce." "I know," I say. "So am I." After she leaves, I set the baby book on the counter. Inside, a faded hospital bracelet and a lock of blonde hair. Emma's first. For the first time in years, I feel no ache opening something from her hands. Just warmth. That night, my phone buzzes with a new message. From Rick. "Tessa wants to know if you'll host 4th of July this year. The whole family." I stare at it for a moment. Once I would have said yes without thinking, scrambling to please, burning myself out in the process. Now my fingers hover over the keyboard, calm and certain. "We're planning a small gathering this year." I hit send. No excuses, no guilt, just truth. Ethan passes by with a laundry basket, glancing at the satisfied smile on my face. "Let me guess," he says. "You finally said no?" "I finally said no," I confirm. He grins. "A year ago, that would have given you hives." I know. I used to think saying no made me ungrateful. And now? Now I know it means I'm healthy. The months slide by. Our calendar fills with the right kind of busy. Emma's swim lessons, Jake's science camp, weekend hikes, therapy sessions that keep the peace growing instead of festering. Rick and Carolyn come to counseling every other week. Awkward, but consistent. They're learning to apologize without explanations. We're learning to forgive without forgetting. Tessa came once, declared it pointless, left halfway through the session muttering something about martyrs. That's fine. You can't rebuild a bridge someone keeps setting on fire. In August, a card arrives in the mail. No return address, just a familiar script. Aunt Joanne. Proud of you for showing us all a better way, it reads. I place it beside a framed photo of our family at Door County, Ethan and me, the kids laughing by the lake. Next to it sits a smaller frame, my parents, smiling at Emma's last recital. The size feels symbolic. Still there, but in proportion. Autumn rolls in crisp and gold. We're planning Thanksgiving when Jake comes barreling down the hall, waving the cordless phone like a trophy. Grandma says hi. She wants to know if we can come for Thanksgiving, but only if we're comfortable. She says it's okay if we have other plans. He pauses, wide-eyed. She said it's okay, Mom. I meet Ethan's gaze. Progress. That night, after the kids are asleep and the house settles into its nighttime rhythm, I take out my journal. The pages are half filled now, each entry a mile marker on the road back to myself. I write slowly, deliberately. I couldn't make my family honest, but I made my home fair. I couldn't stop them from taking, but I stopped giving what they never respected. Love without boundaries isn't love, it's servitude. Real love makes room for everyone to stand tall. I close the journal, resting my palm on the cover. Outside, a faint breeze stirs the chimes on the porch, their sound clear and steady. In the distance, I hear the soft breathing of my children, steady, safe, unburdened. Some gifts can't be wrapped. Peace, self-respect, freedom. They're the kind that last. The first snow of the new year arrives like a whisper, soft, deliberate, cleansing. From the kitchen window, I watch it settle over the garden beds, covering the last of summer's stems. Emma presses her nose to the glass beside me. It looks like sugar, she says. Maybe the world's baking something new, I answer, and she laughs, a sound that still feels like grace. Ethan joins us, coffee in hand, wearing that flannel shirt I've tried to throw out 3 times, and he keeps rescuing. You're smiling before caffeine, he says. Miracle morning. Just enjoying the view, I tell him. No emergency texts, no drama. He raises his mug in salute. Peace looks good on you, Vale. I lean into him, watching our breath fog the window. The quiet between us feels earned. At 9:02 a.m., my phone buzzes. Just once this time. A text from my mother. Coffee this week? My treat. 2 words I've never heard from her before. My thumb hovers above the screen for a moment before I type back. Friday works. My turn to bring the muffins. She replies with a heart. A single emoji, but it lands like a small olive branch left on a doorstep. That Friday, the cafe smells of cinnamon and roasted beans. When I walk in, she's already there. Early again. Another new thing. Her pearls are gone. In their place, simple silver studs. We order coffee, and for a while we just talk. Not about boundaries, or Christmas, or money. About movies, and recipes, and a bird's nest that fell from her porch last week. When the conversation lulls, she looks down at her cup, then up at me. You were right, she says quietly. I blink. About what? About all of it, she admits. We called it love, but it was control. I didn't see it because I thought providing meant belonging. She pauses, her eyes glistening. You taught me something, Joyce. That love doesn't have to come with guilt. My throat tightens, but I don't rush to fill the silence. I just nod, letting the moment sit. It feels fragile, like something alive learning to breathe. When I get home, the kids are building Lego towers in the living room. Jake looks up. Did Grandma say sorry? The question catches me off guard. She didn't have to, I say. She showed it. Emma smiles. That's better anyway. That evening, Ethan lights the fireplace and we sit together in the warm glow, watching snow drift against the windows. I think about how small changes can remake entire families, one no at a time, one boundary, one honest word. I think about the girl I used to be, the one who apologized for existing too loudly, and how she finally learned that silence can be strength when it's chosen, not forced. Before bed, I open my journal again. The last entry waits unfinished from months ago. I write, "The house feels lighter now, not because it changed, but because we did. We learned that love and obligation aren't twins. That saying enough can sometimes be the most generous thing a person does." I set down the pen and close the book. Ethan slides under the blanket beside me, his hand warm over mine. The children's soft laughter drifts down the hall, and somewhere in the quiet, I hear the sound of something rare: balance. Outside, the snow continues falling. It doesn't rush. It doesn't demand. It simply lands where it's welcome. And for the first time in my life, so do I.